Welcome to Sports Guy Talking. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to debate about Bryce Young's draft stock. I will give my thoughts on Bryce Young as I will make player comparisons for him. I will even give my predictions on where Bryce Young will be drafted to. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with the topic question. So, here it is. What are your thoughts on Bryce Young? Which NFL QB has similarities to Bryce Young? And honestly, when you look at this Bryce Young guy, everybody hypes him up. A lot of people say he's the next great thing. A lot of people also say if he's 6'2", he's basically Trevor Lawrence. And I have a huge problem with that statement. That's like saying if Ted Ginn could catch, he would be Tyreek Hill. That's like saying if I could jump 10 feet, I could play in the NBA. That's like saying if Christian McCaffrey was 6'1", he would be a wide receiver in the NFL. It doesn't work like that. You are what you are physically speaking. Bryce Young is physically limited. There's no way to run around with it. He's 5'10" and he's 204 pounds. And honestly, the weight that he's listed under is probably generous. Why do I say that it's generous? Because for most of his college playing career, he was listed under 200 pounds. The fact that he weighed in at the combine a little over 200 pounds, that was kind of surprising to see. But do I think it's going to be that sustainable? No, I don't. I think that he's going to be closer to 195 more so than 205. So when you look at it from that perspective, Bryce Young is going to be a skinny quarterback that's going to be very injury prone. And when you look at Bryce Young, he is not a fast enough runner for his size. Bryce Young is fast, but he's not twitchy kind of fast. He's not Kyler Murray kind of fast. He's not Lamar Jackson kind of fast. He's not going to blow anybody away by his 40 time. He didn't run the 40-yard dash at the combine. Yes, I understand that. But Bryce Young is not going to be that kind of guy that's going to be running around, making plays happen, being able to go to his right, be able to go to his left. He's not going to run 50 yards at one time. When you look at Bryce Young, there are legitimate concerns with him. Now, do I think that he can be a very good quarterback in the NFL? Yes, I can. I think if you can give him a very good supporting cast around him, he could be a good quarterback. If you give him a very good defense, he could feast off of that. If you give him a very good run game, he could feast off of that. If you give him 2-star wide receivers, he could feast off of that. If you scheme him in an offense that emphasizes on RPOs, he could scheme on that. But he's not a guy that can play in a traditional offense. He's not going to be a guy that can take 7 steps in the pocket, stand tall in the pocket, and be able to deliver passes to the middle of the field on post routes. He's not going to be very good at that. He's never going to be that kind of player. What do I think his player comparisons are? Well, when you talk about his ceiling, I think that I got to go with Russell Wilson. Why do I say Russell Wilson? Because both of them have a calm demeanor on the field. Now, they play in a pro-style attack that require full field levels, okay? You look at Russell Wilson in Seattle. Russell Wilson in Seattle had to read the entire field. So if Bryce Young develops into that type of player, he could be Russell Wilson if he ends up going to the right team. Russell Wilson back in Seattle was a very clutch player. I cannot deny this about Bryce Young. He is a very clutch player on the football field. He just makes stuff happen, especially in fourth quarters. We saw countless times at Alabama. Bryce Young is a clutch football player. There's no doubt about that. This guy has the ability to make fourth quarter comebacks, and this guy knows how to deal with the mental pressure very well. So I got to give Bryce Young tremendous props for that. And Bryce Young, he's also unfazed by incoming rush. He knows how to make plays off script, which is very good for the modern NFL. And he makes the ball delivery his priority. He's not a run-first quarterback. He's a throw-first quarterback. He's a scrambler first, thrower second, mobility. Okay, that's just a background thing. That's not really something that he focuses on. He's not going to be someone that's going to be running 20 times a game. Now, he's got good rush awareness. He knows how to move within the pocket. He knows how to replace pressure. He knows that if a guy is blitzing, he knows that he can replace that spot. Bryce Young, he has the ability to do that. He knows how to move within the pocket. He knows how to move outside the pocket. And he's got a nice touch with the deep ball. So I got to give him tremendous props with that. And he actively reroutes his receivers when the play extends. He knows how to extend the play very effectively. And he knows how to make defenses pay when he breaks contain and improvises. So if he can fill in all those strengths, he could become Russell Wilson 2.0. But I think that he has to go to the right team in order for that potential to be filled. So that's why my projected ceiling for Bryce Young in terms of play style is Russell Wilson. However, when I look at his floor, I got a lot of concerns with Bryce Young. Because you look at his floor, I say it's going to be Baker Mayfield. Why did I say Baker Mayfield? Well, skinny QBs, they're very rare to be successful. Skinny, short QBs that aren't necessarily great at being athletic. You look at the last two undersized quarterbacks to go #1 overall. They were Baker Mayfield and Kyler Murray. Baker Mayfield right now is fighting for his NFL life as an NFL starting quarterback. Right now, he's competing with Kyle Trask for the starting job in Tampa. Too bad nobody really thinks that Baker Mayfield is going to be a full-time starter in Tampa Bay. And as for Kyler Murray, yeah, he got over $200 million in his second contract, but who actually thinks Kyler Murray is an elite football player? He's certainly underachieving from where he was drafted. So you look at those two guys, they're the definition of short quarterbacks that went very high in the draft, and they haven't played very well in terms of living up to their draft potential. Bryce Young, he has a tendency to run receivers up against the boundary, so he needs to work on that. He leaves his lower half in terms of his footwork behind on drive throws at times. He needs to improve on driving his throws down the field. Now, Bryce Young, he's got to prove that he can find reads quickly. He needs to stay on schedule. He can't go off script all the time. Sometimes you have to go on script, particularly if you play in a West Coast type of offense. Now, Bryce Young, he doesn't run as often as he could to counter the rush and pick up first downs. If Bryce Young wants to avoid getting hit in the NFL, he's got to know how to be able to scramble. If he doesn't, well, he's not going to last very long in that pocket because he's very skinny, and one hard hit could change his entire career. Now, Bryce Young, to me, when I look at him, he has to play in a specific scheme in order to be successful. He's not going to be one of those you can insert whatever offense you want to do and he can do it. He has to play in a specific offensive scheme where they're going to cater to his strengths and do everything they can to hide his weaknesses. And honestly, when I look at Bryce Young, he's too dependent on the supporting cast around. Do I think he can elevate it at times? Yes, but do I think he can carry a squad on his own to a championship? Heck no. Now, Bryce Young's going to struggle throwing passes over the middle, which could be because of his small height. That could lead to batted balls. That's going to make his completion percentage worse. So that's why my projected floor for Bryce Young in terms of play style is Baker Mayfield. Then you look at most realistic, I'm going to end up going with Tua Tagovailoa because Bryce Young does a good job using eye manipulation to create easier throws. He's good in the RPO game. He knows how to avoid lurking trouble in zone coverage. He knows how to find a soft spot in the zone. And he has a good operation time with the combat release as a thrower. He knows how to do that at least. However, what I am concerned about with Bryce Young is that he's going to have durability issues because he's got a slight frame. It's not so much the height. I can live with the short height, but in terms of his weight, I can't necessarily live with that. He's got to be around 210, 215, the bare minimum, before I can stop worrying about that. And Bryce Young, even though I said that he throws a nice deep ball with the touch that he has, sometimes his deep throws will come out flat and they will lose energy late. But I will say this about Bryce Young, he can operate the play action effectively. He knows how to put the ball in playmakers' hands. And with Bryce Young, like I've said, he's not fast enough for his lack of size. He doesn't have breakaway speed. So that is why my most realistic player comparison for Bryce Young in terms of play style is Tua Tagovailoa. I mean, that's not necessarily bad. Do I think it's #1 overall pick material? No, I don't. But I do have him going #2 overall to the Houston Texans. That's what I believe will happen because the Houston Texans, they need a quarterback in the worst way possible, and they need to find a surefire guy. Bryce Young could certainly provide that. I mean, look, these player comparisons for these draft prospects, they are all based on my own player evaluations when I look at their play style. So that is why my player comparisons for Bryce Young are Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, and Tua Tagovailoa. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinTran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinTran and @Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinTran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.